Live.
Yeah, we're now live. Good
We're live.
morning, Craig. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Ross. Okay, so well, I was looking for the countdown window, but there's no countdown window today. But welcome to Taters and Shrimps on the Barbie. My name's Craig Jamieson. I'm coming to you from Boise, Idaho, USA. And my co-host here is Ross Keating from Queensland, Australia. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. So Ross, why don't you start off? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And then I'd also like to know how it went last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, without me.
Well,
I'd say it went better.
Well, hey, I'd like to welcome the guests to down here in Australia. I mean, today is like that just behind me. This is the Gold Coast of Australia, and it is a magnificent place. And I know Craig is green with envy up there in Boise, Idaho. And I'm sure you'd love to come down and join me on the beach there, Craig, for a real Barbie.
Yes, I would.
And we'll have some prawns, not shrimps. But folks, I've been business consulting for the last 15 odd years here in Australia and focus on business growth and helping people get more customers to become repeat customers and generate more leads. And I've been working with customer relationship management systems and processes and strategies through that time. Love working with it, and I love trying to help and provide insights, tips, and hacks from what we're doing. And this is a great show. Craig and I have known each other for around about 10 years. So we have a good connection, and we know what each other enjoys talking about. But if you've got any questions, you've got any thoughts, please put them in the chat box. You're either on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and we can see those here on the chat site. So we will try and answer them. We've only got the two of us, so we might be multitasking, and we are males, so please forgive us. That's it for me. And the run up for 2 weeks ago, we had guest Michelle Lee talking about using customer personality profiles, buyer personality profiles to help generate more leads. Because if you know who the personality of the people that you're talking to and you know what's important to them and valued to them, then we can get more yeses from the same number of leads. And that has implications like we're talking about today, more bang for your buck. So Michelle and I would discuss that. Went really well. It was lovely to have somebody who's bright and intelligent as a co-host. Sorry, Craig, I had to do that on there. But yes, Michelle talked about the Codebreakers bank methodology, which is the only scientifically validated buyer personality profiling tool that predicts buyer personality in less than 90 seconds. So that's it for me, Craig. Over to you, buddy.
So somebody that was bright and intelligent as a co-host last week, you probably thought the mic was off, but I got to tell you, I watched it. It hurt my feelings a little bit when you leaned over to her and said you were looking for somebody that was, younger and better looking to be the co-host in the future. But we'll let that slide. Right? Especially the younger part. I don't know how you can do much better with the way I look. But at any rate, my background is pretty much strictly in B2B sales, business-to-business sales and management. Started my career back in 1977. I've actually been a CRM user since the late 80s. And I was one of, if not the original Nimble solution partner. And of course, Ross and I share that in common, that we're both solution partners for Nimble. So we hold these sessions every couple of weeks. We talk about business growth tips, hacks, including CRM. We're going to be talking a little bit about CRM today. Sales, marketing, business plans, process. Ross talked a little bit about personality profiling last week. We're also going to be talking about social networking, social selling and marketing and blogging and things like that. Today, our discussion is going to be on how to get more bang for your sales and marketing buck. by focusing on your best prospects. And, we talked about it a little bit, before we decided on this topic, and it's actually going to be in two parts. So the first part today is going to concentrate more on the mechanics and why this should be important to you and give you some ideas of how you might be able to do that. And then we'll come back 2 weeks from now and we'll talk about some ways that you can narrow it down a little bit more, or actually a lot more, to really focus on the people that are most likely to do business with you. So today, once again, is mechanics. Next week, we'll get into it in a little bit more detail. So starting out, Ross, why is having the ability to focus on your best prospects, why is that so important?
Well, understanding who your best prospects are, because that if you know the target audience that your marketing is trying to achieve, your networking, who you're wanting to network with, it just makes it more efficient, more productive for you, and it's reducing your expenses because you don't have to do as much. You're not trying to fire a scattergun across the whole market. You're being more targeted in your approach for people who are actually likely to be interested in your products and your services. And it, if you know who you're trying to talk to, then you can actually resonate with them more quickly. They're more likely, the quicker you can start building the relationship, you're not wasting time. And that's one of the things that I struggled with when I was setting out in business consulting. What do you do? Well, you had to be, I can do this, I can solve every problem under the sun, and every business is my target. Well, we know that that's not the case. I don't work in the health sector, for example. I tend to work with businesses that are in business to business, or they have complex, repeat customers. They're not one-off. They're not retail. I don't tend to work with retail. So I've narrowed down my target market. So my marketing can be more responsive, appeal to people more quickly, and it saves them time, and they understand whether we could be interested in talking to us. So that's why I feel that knowing who your target market is and what the prospects might look like is so important, Craig.
Well, absolutely. And when I look at the topic today and it says focus on your best prospects, and I look at focus, when I think about focus, I think about two things. I think of one, like you just mentioned, Ross, who are those people that are most likely to do business with us? Okay, so I'm focusing on those. But then I also want to focus on the individual themselves. I want to develop the kind of relationship that leads to repeat business, it leads to referrals, or leads to exceeding customer expectations. The problem today is, and we all know it, is it's a mass marketing world. And I swear, there's no question in my mind, 90% of the cold emails that I get, on a daily basis, one, they're automated. I can always spot when they're automated. When they say, hey, adaptivebusiness.com, as opposed to, hey, Craig, or hey, you. Hey, you, I respond to hey, you. I respond to a lot of things, but not adaptivebusiness.com. So I know they're automated. At the same time, they obviously don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about my business. They don't know anything about, what my needs are. I mean, I got one the other day and it said they work with a lot of wellness coaches like me, and they offer, products that are specifically geared toward nutrition.
You really get a lot of things.
Wow. Like, how did this happen? And so that's the problem. Now, I get it, if you're a widget salesperson that sells like 10-cent widgets and you need to, you send out 10,000 of them, whatever, and you hope to get whatever kind of return you get. I mean, I'm not, a mass email marketing guy, so I don't know, I get, but if you're dealing with higher ticket items, if you're dealing with more complicated sales, you've got a problem. I mean, those types of things I don't think are effective. I think it's much more better use of your time and your effort, to focus on people, to focus on understanding them, to focus on understanding what their needs are, to putting out personalized messaging that addresses those needs and that, as you said, Ross, will resonate with that particular client. And there's a problem too in that, I've read a lot of articles lately online from people that I respect, and I know this is true. They say, from a salesperson standpoint, a sales manager, well, you're not making your numbers. Do more, send out more emails, send out more prospecting things, start blasting these things out here. Well, you got a problem too, especially when you're trying to narrow this down a little bit. You only got so much time, right?
That's right.
You can't stretch it out more than 24 hours. So, make better use, we talked about this, a few sessions back. I'm for quality calls versus quantity calls. I'm for improving my ratios. So if I can get 3 or 4 responses out of 10 outreaches versus 1 or 2 out of 1,000, I think that's a better ratio. So, personalized messaging versus mass marketing. You're going to make touches, on a appropriate schedule. You're going to build those kind of relationships that lead to the type of business that you want. So, so how mechanically, and maybe we're talking about CRM, Ross and I both being with Nimble, we talk about Nimble, but really any decent CRM should probably have most of these kind of features. What are some of the ways that CRM can help you do that, Ross?
Well, you can actually split the group between your customers and your prospects. That's the first one that comes to mind. It really does make a difference that you're talking to people who are prospective customers different than you talk to people who are customers. And that makes a difference because you'll make different offers. You'll talk about your product differently because your existing customers know that. And if you split them out, you can look at your customer base as it is, and then you can start looking at who are your best customers, because what do your customers look like, full stop. And so you can group them into, filter them into different groups, into different categories, and you can create a buyer persona from that. You can look at how much they're buying, how often do they buy, what do they buy, where are they located, all the psychographics and demographics that make up a person's profile. But a CRM can store a lot of the demographic information and product information. And so it makes it a lot easier because then you can start looking, if they bought this, could they buy that? So you've got cross-sells, upsells, you've got bundling. And then if you look at that, if you know what your customers, and you can group them into, say, gold, silver, bronze, platinum, gold, silver, whatever you want to, how you want to break them up, you can then sort of say, what are the distinctive characteristics of those particular groups? And do I want to work with them, more of them? Which of those do I really want to work with? And then you can translate that across to the prospective base. And then you can make communications that resonate with them. And that's why it makes it easier and quicker. People know these days that companies use marketing automation tools and personalize them. But if you get lazy about it, then that's when the mistakes happen. They send something to, and you've got to be careful about things like, people have got titles like doctor, professor, things like that, and other titles that you have to earn their respect, not to call them by their first name in some cases. So you've got to be careful how you do that. So if you get that information, a CRM can help you store that information and your contacts, because people have trouble making contact, following up. That's one of the biggest things I hear in sales. My sales team are not following up. They can't seem to remember to go back and follow up a touch. People want 7 to 12 touches. How did you touch? You like to comment on like to post on social media? How do you record that? Did you make a phone call? Did you send an email? Did you send an SMS? Or did somebody else in the organization send it? A lot of times, particularly in business to business, not just one person is in contact. So if you separate them out, who do I want to contact first and make that ideal client? Craig, would you call it an ideal client? Or you and I were having that discussion, ideal client and target buyer.
We're
So,
about target by next week or 2 weeks from now, we're going to talk more about target buyer personas, which is basically that's usually identifying the individuals within an organization that you might be selling to, marketing to, and then you've got your ideal client profile, which would be companies, company size, company industry, whatever that may be. But it's kind of funny you talk about respecting titles. I remember when I was in sign sales, and I was selling a sign to a dentist, and we were writing out exactly how it would appear on a sign, and it was Fred Smith DDS, and I said that's right. I said I'm a DDS too, and he's like, you're a dentist and you're selling signs? I said, no, I'm a door-to-door salesperson. So, and I did get that sale for that matter. But, so you talked about gold, silver, platinum, or platinum, silver, gold, which I believe is a hierarchy of your best people. I talk about an ABC classification. So I say, these are my best customers, are my A customers, are my best prospects. These are my B prospects. Ideally, I'd like to take those up to A prospects, and then these are the C's. I'd like to take those up to B's, and sometimes they end up as D, which stands for delete, right?
That's right.
But you have different schedules that you put those people on, as far as what I would call a touch schedule, where you're going to reach out and you're going to be in contact, because it's building relationships is a repetitive process, and that's what's so critical. So, in addition to that, it's the industry they're in, or it's their interests, commonalities that you have. All of this type of information can be registered one way or another and can be dissected within your CRM. So if I find an article that's of interest to one particular type of company or a particular industry, that pertains to that industry, it's easy for me to call up everybody that's in that industry and send them that article. And I know that that's going to resonate with them because it's talking about their business. These are some of the things that you can do. But I have to stress this, and this is where I think a lot of people really fall down when they use the CRM. They get so quick, salespeople, and I can say this because I'm a salesperson, I've got like the attention span of a 2-year-old. And my thing is I got to go fast. I put in the basic information, then I want to move on. But all these things that we're talking about here, if you don't take the time to properly fill out the records and maintain the records and everything, if the data is not in the CRM, you're not going to get any results when you do these kind of searches. You're not going to be able to segment your database by prospect, customer, A, B, C, industry, whatever, if you don't have the data in there. So I think that's incredibly important. Okay. So what are maybe some of the other things that you might be able to do with it in order to make it more effective in targeting and getting the focus on the best people?
Well, one of the things that I do is, particularly you mentioned just before, industry groups. They are really targeting a specific industry. You talk about for yourself targeting the lighting, the sign market, right? I talk about dog grooming, for example. I've had a number of clients that are dog grooming. They have dog grooming services. I've had a number of fitness clients. I've got people who are working in the industrial cleaning markets with equipment and technology. So when I talk to that, they want to hear different things. You can put different messages in there for them. And that's a really, I find, important, because you make it relevant to them. And if it attracts them, you might be going out to less people. But if you talk to them about what they want, that they're interested, not what you want to do, what problem do you solve? It enables you to show that you understand the problems they have and what are the issues that you might be able to solve. You can't solve all their problems, but what can you solve and how do you do it? But you can't necessarily do that until you start a discussion. And I was listening to a podcast, Advanced Selling, the other day, and they were talking to CEOs. What are they interested in? They don't want to know necessarily that your paper clips are the best paper clips in the thing. What problems are they have to give value to the shareholders and things like that. But if you show that you understand the issues that they're facing, then how can you and your company help them? But even just showing that you understand the issues that they're facing is important. So by segmenting out people from different parts of the hierarchy in our organization changes how you talk and what you talk about.
Well, and you bring up another important point here. You've had a lot of experiences with dog grooming. I didn't know that. I had a groomer out here last night, as a matter of fact, for my husky dog. She was blowing her coat. I was sure glad to see her last night. When I get mobile. And you know what my groomers is called? Aussie Pet Grooming. Get that, huh?
Yes.
So you said it out, Aussie Pet Grooming. If you're in Boise, they're awesome. But at any rate, if you've got a lot of background within a particular industry, so you've got fitness companies, whatever. My background, of course, is I've worked with a lot of sign companies. They tend to have common needs and common areas where you can help them. And you start building up, you learn the language too that's involved, which makes you that much, more better able to communicate with these people. So I think that's, incredibly important. So that would be, an example of, how you can leverage vertical markets because you understand the industry you're talking about. Whenever I'm talking to a new client, the first thing I do is I go to their website and I try to look at their website and have I worked with anybody like this before? And I try to refresh myself, or I'll try to look and I'll see commonalities with other industries that I've been involved in. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I've got a client that is in the office equipment industry. That's why I started out. I speak the language. Of course, if I'm with a sign company, I speak the language also. So, but you can do things. I mean, you can set reminders to be with these people. You can use custom fields. You can send out group messages like we were talking about. One message with an article to everybody that matches certain criteria. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. And if you want to export these records and you want to put them into some sort of a more of a mass emailing or marketing automation product, you can do that also. So that's about it for today. We're trying to keep this a little bit shorter, especially since LinkedIn cuts us off at about 22 minutes, so which we haven't figured out yet. But that's to your benefit. So with that, Ross, why don't you take us out? And I'll just say thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks if Ross will allow me to come back. He might say, "Hey, I've got another guest I'd like to bring on. Why don't you take the week off?" So he might do that to me. But Ross, take us out.
Thanks very much, Craig. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today. And folks, I hope you've got some ideas about how to get more bang for your marketing buck by grouping and using the information about clients, separating them out into different groups, prospects and customers, and then maybe creating a hierarchy of structures about customers, and looking for verticals in your industry, looking how can you separate, who do you talk to in the organization, so you've got that separated out. And if you're sending emails out, you can send it out. Use personalization. It's important, but make sure your data is correct. And as Craig said, if your data's wrong, you get lazy about the data, it's useless. Garbage in, garbage out was an old saying when I was first coming out.
Nothing in, nothing out.
That's it. Nothing in, nothing out. That's right. And that's the discussion is so right. I could have a bit of fun with that one, but please, folks, take the time to look at that. We love these shows. We'd love to have your comments. Who would you like to see as a guest on the show? We're looking to find people that are useful to you and provide you useful information and tips and hacks from that point of view. So thanks very much, everybody. And by the way, if you want to know to start understanding your clients better, and I talked about buyer personas, we're offering a free personality. If you crack your personality, there's a link down the bottom, and you've been seeing the links run before. But if you use that particular profile, you'll get a free report. You'll crack your personality code using the code breaker technology. That's what Michelle and I talked about the other week. And you'll get a 26-page report valued at $99. And you'll understand it. And if you understand who you are, and you can use that same information, similar information, to try and decode your buyer personality. So that's something that we're giving away today. And come back. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Craig, you're allowed in a couple of weeks after that. You can even look to bring a guest. So you need to put your thinking cap on, my friend.
I'll find one younger and better looking.
Yeah. Well, hey, you can contact maybe my younger brother, Matt Damon. They say we look alike.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you, folks. Have a fantastic day and have a great week and enjoy it each and every day. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.